So, I did an actual beginning to end example for you because I want you to understand how to do this. And it's, I think this will help you maybe give you a broader view of the process. So, this is an example question. So, identify and discuss the ways in which you use information and computer technology to carry out the planning, organizing, and controlling functions of management, both in your personal work and your personal and work life. According to you, which are the top 2 activities in your work life that would benefit most if they could be done using information technology and computers? Give reasons for your choices. Yes, this is in your course, or probably one of your courses. It's in one of the courses that I teach, but I thought it was a great example. So I placed an answer here. I went on about what I thought about that, and I used sources outside of the course. So when I did that, I used a source. One of my sources was Quicken because I talked about software that I used in my household finances. Well, Quicken. Well, I found information about Quicken on Quicken's website. On that website, there was no author. So what I did was I used Quicken as the author, because they are the ones that they have it on their website. There's no person's, somebody's name listed as the author, but they obviously wrote it for their website. So there's Quicken, there's no date, and then the title of the page, and then where it was retrieved from. So, having said that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my example. So here's my website, Quicken. See, I went to the website, Quicken, and there's the title of the page. I got my information, a little bit of information from here. And I provided the reference. So, here's Quicken. There's no date here. Here's the title of the page. And it was retrieved from this website. And there's the URL up there. In-text citation for that is author, date. Sometimes there's not a date. No date. N period, D period. That's what you would use. When there's no date, you just type N.D period, parentheses, dot. And that is your reference for the text, in-text citation. I know we're not talking about that yet, but I just wanted to warm you up to the idea that we're going to be doing in-text citations are very important as well. Okay, so here's the citation again. So, after I did that, I want to talk about, the question asked, what type of technology would make your personal or work life easier? And I thought about that robot. Sony was, they had made some prototypes of this robot that was supposed to help, people around the house. And I was thinking, man, that would be a great, great thing to have. So I decided to use that. And after I did that, I went to Sony. I looked up some information on it. And we found that I found an article about it. It was the QRIO robot. I found some information about it, and I wrote about it. So, just a little bit of information about it, and here it is. So Sony, same thing there. Sony's website had a contact on there, but it wasn't the author. It was, I think, a PR person. So, in that situation, Sony is the author of this article. It is on their website. It's on their, Sony.com. And I had the title of the article. So Sony, there was no date. So N period, D period. And then what you need to know about QRIO, which was the title of the article. And then it was retrieved from, here's the URL. In that situation as well, the in-text citation would be Sony, N period, D period. So that would be the citation within the text after the material. So I go to this site, I pick some information out, I paraphrase it, I might summarize it. If I paraphrase it, I need to include the page number if it's available. If I summarize it, I don't have to, but if you because if you're summarizing a lot of pages, you don't have to. But in my situation, I just there's no page number on this website, so, and there's no date, so well, the information that I have is Sony, and there's no date. So that's what would go in the information. Any information I've taken from the website, if I'm paraphrasing it and putting it in my document, right after where I put it in my text is the in-text citation. So going back, I have one more source, and this source was an interesting choice. It is not a journal article. It was a paper that was presented at a conference. Yes, you can cite those, that type of information, and I did. Now, the author's name was on this site. So let's go to the site. I went to this website. This is from the online library. First of all, it is where I could find various journal articles as well. But I found this and I used it. So when I looked at the information, I found the citation on the library, in the library, and I was able to cite it. So in this case, author, and since it was a presented paper, I need to use year and month. Title, and then paper presented at the location wherever it was, and then abstract retrieved from where. Now, this is something you probably aren't familiar with. It is in the APA handbook. It is also on OWL at Purdue, if you want to use that. If you ever do, cite a paper presented at a conference or convention instead of just a journal article. Same thing there. In the text is Turner 2008. Author, year. Preferably, we want author, year, and an in-text citation. That's not always possible. Again, we will talk about that later in the next video. The point of this is that here's my materials. Here's my assignment. Whenever I used any material from this, it was cited right after the material in the text and in the references. These are the references that were listed. This is something that this is a discussion board question. You can notice that if this was in a Word document, this should have been centered here, and these should be indented. The second and subsequent lines of a source should be indented if you're using Word. If you're using, this is a discussion posting, don't worry about it, okay? Just list them in order. Alphabetical order, QST, alphabetical order of the sources. And that's an example. So I'm hoping that might have helped clarify some of this. And this is very APA can be very difficult and it's very confusing sometimes. My best suggestions: use the sources in your Webliography in your course. Use the sources in your doc sharing section, and know that if you start just a little earlier on your discussion posts or your Word documents for the Dropbox, if you are confused about how to cite something, just send it to me and I will be more than happy to look it over and point out where you're going wrong. But you must do so before the assignment's due. That's very important. But anyway, so I hope you found this very useful, and I look forward to see you in my course. Thank you.